We need to have a talk, and a very serious one. It's time to pull up a chair, folks. We are talking about the Mitchell Trubisky era in Chicago, which has seemingly come to a crashing halt after he was benched for Nick Foles, and Nick Foles was announced as the starting quarterback for the Bears moving forward. So let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're new to the channel, guys, make sure to go ahead and hit that bell icon down below to be notified every time I drop a new video, and make sure to subscribe by hitting the red subscribe button because I'm bringing you the latest and greatest Bears content around. I promise you that. I really do. All right, I wouldn't be telling you otherwise. And make sure to follow me on my social media, guys. Links down below and on the screen for my Twitter, my Instagram. Reach out, ask questions, do what it is you got to do. But with that being said, I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to get to. So like I said, get comfortable. We're going to get into it. So I went back and forth on if I even wanted to make this video. I'll be very honest with you, folks. And the reason I decided to make it is because I thought it was important. I have been labeled at times a Mitchell Trubisky supporter, a Mitchell Trubisky apologist, whatever you want to say, a guy who has defended Mitchell Trubisky more so than other people have. And it was always funny to me because, one, I never let it bother me. I don't care, much about, if people, think a certain way. I know, when I'm making my opinions and my analysis, I do it in good faith and I do it with, logic. And so when I was, defending Mitchell Trubisky or saying that, I believe Mitchell Trubisky succeed in the NFL and with the Bears, all it was about was me wanting a guy on the team that I am a fan of and root for in the Chicago Bears to do well. If Mitchell Trubisky played for the 49ers, the Packers, the Jaguars, the Titans, the Bills, name any other NFL team, I wouldn't give a care in the world for Mitchell Trubisky. I really wouldn't. It's just that he played for the Chicago Bears, my favorite NFL team. And so I wanted to root for the guy to do well, as I believe any Bears fan should. So that part never made sense to me, where people are actively rooting for a player on your favorite team to not do well. You are literally letting your selfish opinion of somebody put it in a way where you are willing to let your team be worse for it. Never made sense to me. So, point being is, that's all it's ever been for me is Mitchell Trubisky has played for the Chicago Bears, and I want him to succeed, and that's it. I don't know Mitchell Trubisky. I've never met Mitchell Trubisky, okay? I've never talked with him. So it was never about that. So that's the first thing that I wanted to get out of the way. Now, let's talk about the Mitchell Trubisky era, if you will. And obviously, I'm using air quotes for era because it was a very short-lived one, okay? Mitchell Trubisky, we all know, was drafted in 2017 by the Bears with the number 2 overall pick. The Bears traded up a spot to draft him. We all know, everybody in the world knows, the Bears obviously passed up on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to get into that in this video. This is not about Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. This is just about Mitchell Trubisky. So save the Mahomes and Watson comments. But just to give you a recap again, we know that they traded up for him, drafted him number 2 overall. I've made countless videos about that and my thoughts on it. So you guys go check out those videos if you don't want to hear my full thoughts on, the drafting of Mitchell Trubisky, etc. But we drafted him, and, in 4 years now with the Chicago Bears, this is what his career has become, where you go from number 2 overall pick all the way to getting benched in your 4th year and potentially out of the NFL. So with that being said, here's my thing with Mitchell Trubisky. I don't feel sorry for him. I really don't. And why am I saying that is because once the benching got announced, once he was benched against the Falcons, a lot of people I saw on social media and everywhere else talking about, oh, I feel so bad for Mitchell Trubisky. I feel sorry for Mitch. I feel this and that. Folks, you're not doing Mitch any favors here, okay? Not doing Mitch any favors here by feeling sorry for him. Yes, you can be empathetic. You can be empathetic for Mitchell Trubisky Absolutely. But here's why I'm telling you I don't feel sorry for Mitchell Trubisky. And you're hearing this from the guy who defends him, right? You're hearing this from the guy who defends him. Here's why I don't feel sorry for Mitchell Trubisky. Because at the end of the day, Mitchell Trubisky had a job, has a job, or did have a job, just like anybody else, and he didn't perform, and he got yanked for it. That's it. At the end of the day. Now, if it happened in a way where, Mitchell Trubisky got unfairly pulled or, where Mitchell Trubisky got a bad break and he's had, 14 different coordinators, 7 different head coaches. Obviously, I'm exaggerating here. And it's just never been that way for Mitchell Trubisky. Fine, maybe you can make some, excuse about it. But at the end of the day, folks, the NFL is just a performance business. You got to go out there and perform. And I don't want people to take away the blame on Mitchell Trubisky. You have to be accountable in your life. It is very important to be accountable for your own actions. Mitchell Trubisky was drafted number 2 overall. Okay? Number 2 overall was where he was picked, and he did not live up to those number 2 overall standards. Let's walk through his career in Chicago. In his first year, he was under John Fox, and I hated that offense. I hated John Fox as a coach, and we know that the Bears signed Mike Glennon that year. He started, and then he got pulled for Mitchell Trubisky, and as he should have, because we had spent such a high draft pick on him that you need to see how Mitchell Trubisky looks. Now, maybe it was too early, but it was going to happen eventually. And he plays okay. I believe he had, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But there was just nothing surrounding him. No good receivers, no good offensive talent, no good offensive coach, nothing good surrounding him. So you could kind of just throw that year out the window, honestly. Then you come to 2018. Now you've got him an actual real head coach, a competent head coach in Matt Nagy. You've got some receiving talent here now. You've got some offensive personnel around him, and you've got him in defense. So the surrounding pieces came about, and what happened? Mitchell Trubisky played well, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The Bears won games. Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year that year. They went to the playoffs. They obviously lost in the playoffs to Eagles. Obviously we all know the double doink against the Eagles in which they lost that game. But overall, Mitchell Trubisky had a solid year. Not fantastic, solid year, because we know, looking at that year, not just the numbers, but mechanics-wise, Mitchell Trubisky had ways to improve. He was still overthrowing guys, etc. You saw that he was still a raw prospect talent. But there was talent there, and there was something you could work on. So now, first year, you're surrounding him with nothing. Throw that year out. Second year, where you actually have pieces around him. Okay, he's shown some promise. Something we could work with here. Fine. Cool. But he still has to improve a lot because, again, sloppy footwork, bad mechanics, can't, read the entire field. Decision-making needs to improve. There was room for improvement. But there was no doubt about it that he was going to be the starting quarterback for the Bears moving forward. 2019 comes. And Mitchell Trubisky is the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Now in his 3rd year, he is expected to make that leap to the next level. I'm not saying he had to be a top 5 quarterback, but people were expecting to make the leap to the next level. I had predicted that Mitchell Trubisky would increase his touchdown count from, 24 to at least in the 27 to 30 range. That is the expected progression for a quarterback. And what happens? Mitchell Trubisky does not improve. Now, he did get hurt that year. I don't know how much the injury affected him. I'm sure it affected him a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's sad, but people don't care. People just don't care as much unless it's that significant of an injury. But again, it wasn't significant enough for him to miss time. He still played the majority of the season, and he puts up 17 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Just an absolutely putrid year, and the Bears go 8-8. They missed the playoffs, and Mitchell Trubisky regressed. There is no doubt about that. He regressed. Okay? It went from, first year, I would say it's a flat line with the John Fox era, and then it's going up in Matt Nagy's first year, Mitchell Trubisky's second year, and then it nosedives in 2019 when everybody expects him to take that leap. So it nosedives, and now you're stuck in standing and asking yourself, okay, We expected this kid to make the leap. He didn't. He actually regressed. He didn't even stay flat, by the way. He regressed. All of the issues still present, bad footwork, sloppy in the pocket, can't read the field completely well, decision-making still questionable. So all these questions still arise. Actually, even more questions arise. And instead of instilling more confidence in the coaching staff and the ownership and the front office, you actually remove confidence in you because of your play or lack thereof. And so after 2019, what happens? The Bears decline Mitchell Trubisky's option like they should, because his play in 2019 did not show that he was worthy of getting an extension. It just didn't. Or getting an option picked up. So after that, you come now to 2020. And in 2020, the Bears did what I believe they should have, which is bring in competition. And to be honest with you folks, this is where I don't feel sorry for Mitchell Trubisky, is they could have outright replaced him with a quarterback like, let's say, Cam Newton, or somebody else. But they brought in Nick Foles. They brought him in as competition, right? And this is where I believe Matt Nagy deserves a lot of credit, because a lot of people that criticize Matt Nagy, I'm just going to tell you this. Matt Nagy has no skin in the game of picking between Mitch and Nick Foles. He just wants the best quarterback. And how do I know that? He went through the quarterback competition and he saw Mitchell Trubisky won it. So he could have started Nick Foles if he was biased towards Nick Foles and didn't want Mitchell Trubisky. For all the people that are saying he doesn't want Mitch, okay? He could have started Nick Foles. But no, he was trying to be fair about it, and he said, okay, I think I've seen a decent amount of improvement in Mitch. Let me give him a shot. Starts him, and the Bears did win the first two games, but we know Mitchell Trubisky only played one quarter against the Lions, and he only played a good first half against the Giants. And here's the thing. Even though you might think just one interception does not warrant a benching, here's what I'll counter you with. Is knowing that you have had another quarterback into your room, knowing that you are on thin ice, knowing that any error you make can be used against you. Mitchell Trubisky should not just be sliding along and just getting by. He should be ripping through the expectations. And when I say that, I'm talking about if Mitchell Trubisky put up monster numbers against the Lions, if you put up monster numbers against the Giants, two bad defenses, two porous defenses, Mitchell Trubisky doesn't get benched against the Falcons. He doesn't. But again, he would never get benched against the Falcons, because if he was that guy, he would have ripped apart that Falcons secondary, which is not very good. So point being is, it was not good enough for Mitch to just get by. He needed to exceed expectations to keep the starting job, because that's what happens when you don't perform to the level you are expected to. Okay? That's it. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Just perform. Mitchell Trubisky's checks, cash, and clear just like everybody else's. It's not like the Bears are not paying him nothing. He's getting paid to do a job. He didn't do the job. Right? He didn't do it. So to me, that's why I'm defending Matt Nagy here, is because I believe Matt Nagy was very fair. Mitchell Trubisky got his fair chance to start the year, and he could have ran away with the job, just destroyed the Lions, just destroyed the Giants, and destroyed the Falcons, but instead he didn't. He did it. And you know what? At the end of the day, playing quarterback is hard in the NFL, and not everyone's built for it. Simple as that. No hard feelings. Not everyone's built for it. It's fine. Knowing who you are, knowing what you can do, that's what matters. And for Mitchell Trubisky, that is why I say I don't feel sorry for him. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but I really don't. Mitchell Trubisky got paid to do a job. He didn't do his job. That's it at the end of the day. So this whole notion of, I have to feel sorry for Mitch, blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because Mitch knows himself he has to be accountable. If Mitch Trubisky was Matt Nagy, he'd do the same exact thing. So to me, that's kind of where I'm at with this whole Mitchell Trubisky era in Chicago. A lot of people are trying to take away the blame on Mitch, trying to say, he should have never been picked number 2 overall, folks. Come on now. Go back and look at that draft. I've told you this countless of times that Mitchell Trubisky was expected to be a top 10, certainly top 10 pick, maybe even top 5 pick. He was the number one quarterback coming out of that class at that time. I know it's funny to think about now, but he was. You can go look it up. Okay? It was him and Deshaun Watson. Nobody saw what was coming from Patrick Mahomes. I don't care what you say. They did it. Okay? So Mitchell Trubisky was a very highly ranked prospect. He just didn't pan out. Folks, busts in the NFL happen. Look at Jameis Winston, number 1 overall pick. Look at Marcus Mariota, number 2 overall pick. And speaking of Marcus Mariota, this actually reminds me of the Mariota situation in Tennessee very much so. Because Marcus Mariota was a good kid, put his head down, worked hard, but at the end of the day, he just couldn't get the job done for the Titans. They started him, and then they benched him because, again, he was not getting the job done. And it doesn't matter how nice of a guy you are. It matters how you play on the field. It does matter how nice of a guy you are, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is how you play on the football field. And they benched him for Ryan Tannehill, and we all know that ended up being the right move because the Titans made a deep playoff run, and Ryan Tannehill balled out so much so that they gave him an extension the next season after and made him their starting quarterback moving forward. Am I saying that's what's going to happen with Nick Foles? No, but I'm just giving an example. So again, the point I'm trying to make here, folks, is don't feel bad for Mitch, okay? He's a grown man, and he knows he has to be accountable, just like we all do. When you have a job and you don't do it to the level that you were expected to do, you are going to get and receive the consequences for it. And that is what happened, okay? Look, he got paid. I'm sure he's going to be fine. His career in Chicago is pretty much over. And I've told you this, I believe Mitchell Trubisky can be a very good backup quarterback somewhere. So I'm sure he'll get another job or maybe even a starting job somewhere else. It's just not going to be in Chicago. And you don't have to feel bad for him. He tried his absolute best according to him. And, he always, was respectful, class act. I have all the good things to say about Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky is a phenomenal guy. Actually, I don't even know him. But from everything I've seen in interviews, everything I've read, he's a great guy. But at the end of the day, again, you don't have to feel sorry for him. And I'm pretty sure he does not want people to feel sorry for him either. Because he knows himself. I need to play better. That's it, straight up. So all of this obviously gets avoided if he just plays better. But it never ended up happening. And I go back to the point I made earlier, which is playing quarterback in the NFL is hard. That's why there's only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's why there's only really 5, maybe 10 elite quarterbacks in the world. Think about it. 5 to 10 guys in the world elite at playing quarterback. It's hard. It's hard. So, again, folks, it is what it is. Don't take it too personally. I am certainly not. Don't feel bad for Mitchell Trubisky. He will be perfectly fine. I promise you that, okay? So with that being said, folks, I appreciate you guys for checking out, man. Let me know what you guys think about my little rant here that I kind of went on, but I needed to talk about this, the Mitchell Trubisky era, if you will, in Chicago. Yeah, we could stick a fork in it. We all know that. But let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. If you agree or disagree with me, it's fine either way. I'll talk to you guys. I'll debate it with you guys, but let me know down below. As always, thanks for watching.